Well, I'm making this video in response to one of Cutlery Lover's videos. He inspired me. I haven't made many videos for my tactical view lately. I have some planned, but I haven't really made them. I've been lazy and involved with other things. So I'm going to make a video here about cutting myself. Like I said, I think Jeff, it's unusual in a sense compared to me. I cut myself on a regular basis when I play with my knife. You know, I don't mean to. So anyway, I'll tell you. And since this is the first video in this series, I'm going to make a series of these because I've got stories of cutting myself all the time. I've got a bunch of them throughout my lifetime of cutting myself rather badly. And because Cutlery Lover loves balisong so much and is well known for balisongs, the first story I'm going to tell is a balisong story. Probably over 20 years ago, I heard a balisong from Pacific Cutlery. It had a 5-inch blade, you know, and the handles that complemented that. It was stainless steel with white micarta inserts. And this is one of the handmade jobs I made back then. And even back then, I think it was like $375 or $575. I'm not sure they're making that kind of thing anymore. I think they stopped making those. I'm not sure. But it was a piece of change anyway at the time. It was a lot of money for me. But it was a beautiful thing, you know. And I actually, you know, bought it to carry. I like the fact. Well, I've been collecting balisongs, not collecting, but I've been buying balisongs since I was actually a little kid. I wanted to get switchblades, we couldn't find those, but I did find some balisongs, you know, at that age around, you know, whatever, one of the knife store, anyway, long story. So I've been well aware of balisongs and playing with them, you know, really since I was little, actually, you know, 7, 8 years old, something like that. So I finally bought the ultimate balisong, this beautiful Pacific Cutlery handmade balisong with white micarta inserts, polished stainless steel. Beautiful damn thing, you can imagine. And no, I no longer have it, unfortunately. And it had a wee-hog blade, which was cool because it had the regular blade in the front, and then the back side was also sharpened down about 2/3 or something like that, over half. So it was a double-edged knife, which meant you could take it and you could rake back and forth like this as well as stab like this. You'd also rake back and cut both ways, which was nice. It was almost like almost like a double-edged blade. But you could still flip the knife. And for those of you who do balisong stuff, you could flip it, you know, open it, flip it, and have it, the back of the wheel, you know, the unsharpened part of the wee-hog blade would flip over on your finger. You could catch it and flip it back. You could do that little trick, you know, you do, and flip it around. I was pretty good with the balisong. I'm no Cutlery Lover, but I was pretty good. I'm no Jeff Amata or anything either, but I was pretty good at flipping a balisong when I was younger. And, because I had one, like say, I still have one, which is an old one, actually made in the Philippines, which is about that long closed. I got it at a knife shop when I was about 7 or 8, maybe 9 or something. So I've been flipping this around. I've been carrying it, you know. Even had a custom sheath made for it. And so I'm over at my friend's house, a friend of mine's house. So I'm actually a guy who was several guys actually who were in this martial arts club I belonged to. It was back in my late 20s. And, excuse me, don't kill me, itching me. So I'm sitting on a big giant beanbag chair, and I pull this thing out. Now, for those of you in the martial arts, or maybe for those of you who have balisongs or whatever, the moment you try to show off a skill or do a skill in front of somebody who's watching you, you know, even if you don't mean to, a lot of times it can make you a little nervous or a little self-conscious. There's an old story about a Zen master who was trying to paint do calligraphy and make this big, you know, word on rice paper. You know, a big giant word that was going to be duplicated and put as, you know, on their Shaolin temple, whatever it was, some darn thing. This was actually Japan. There's no Shaolin temple there. It's from China anyway. And he had an assistant. This was a master doing this, but this assistant was helping him, and he would, you know, do the big word, you know, the calligraphy word, the Japanese calligraphy, and then assistant would look at it and go, no, I don't think so. It's not quite right, not quite good enough for you. And he kept doing this again and again, you know, and you know, and he could see his work wasn't really very good. Finally, the assistant had to run out of the room to do something, and he quickly grabbed a piece of paper and he you know, did the symbol, you know, when no one was watching him. And the student came back and went, that's perfect. And that's what this was. I was really good at flipping a balisong, I thought I was. But here I am. I'm lying in this big beanbag here, sitting in. We're watching this big screen TV, and I'm flipping it back and forth, flip like this, you know, in this chair. And I guess I was a little weirded out because there are people there I didn't really know very well who didn't know me, and they thought it was a pretty weird knife. Back then, it was almost unheard of to have something like that, And so I'm whooping this thing around, playing with it, and I had it in my hand and watching this TV show of some kind. And I pull it out again, and this time I grabbed the wrong handle, I think. I'm not even sure now. It's been so many years. And we're talking about a razor sharp knife. I mean, literally a razor sharp knife. I flipped the knife, and instead of the safe, dull Weehawk side of the handle hitting me, the blade actually hit my knuckles and actually cut my fingers down to the bone. It was one of those cuts that is so bad by such a sharp knife that for a moment, and I don't know how many of you guys have had this, probably some of you have, for a moment, your body does not know what's happened to it. It doesn't even bleed. You feel it, you feel a tingle, you know you've been cut, I guess. You feel a tingle, but it's so tremendously sharp, you're not really sure. And then you look at your hand and you can just see a tiny little line across your knuckles or fingers or whatever. And then all of a sudden, maybe you touch it or whatever, and all of a sudden pull it apart or something to look and see if you can, yes, you're cut. You're cut. It's really right in there. And blood just comes oozing out of your fingers. And where I cut myself, I didn't cut any tendons or anything like that, thank God. I cut myself on the knuckles and I missed, I guess, tendons or something. I don't know how I did that. But I cut like 2 knuckles, one worse than the other. But man, it was to the bone, and it was embarrassing. And I'm grabbing paper towels, rubbing around my hand. And so just more and more blood's coming out, oozing out of my hand. Well, that's my one of my knife cutting stories where I cut myself. I'm going to tell a few more here on this, and I'll just put them up from time to time, I think, on that channel. Jeff, thank you for inspiring me, for sharing my idiocy. I wish I could be like you and not cut myself with knives on a regular basis, but when I do play with knives, not all the time, not every time, obviously, I wouldn't have any fingers left, but I do have a tendency to cut myself. Embarrassing. Well, that's it. You guys are having a good one.